and you stick with race to the top, because our education system is not broken in this country. And when people talk about, the fact that we have, a poor college, graduation rate, don't buy it. My school district has a 96% flourishing graduation rate. And we pick the teachers, we pick the administration. That's our local control. You have the say-so. And you cannot give that up. And this happened, this legislation was passed on May 28th, 2010 at 3 a.m. in the morning. Most normal people are asleep at that time. But this was so important to our state legislators. Kathy Nolan, she's the education chair of the Assembly. Senator John Flanagan, he's the education chair of the Senate. And do you know what Commissioner Steiner at the time said? He went there at 3 a.m. with Merrill Tisch. He said he was crying, tears of joy, that they had passed these laws. And then Merrill Tisch and Commissioner Steiner, Joe Klein, Michael Mulgrew, and then Deputy Commissioner King on August 10th of 2010 sat in front of the federal government, and on this I do have to read because this one's lovely. Today we come with our down payment in hand, a set of legislative initiatives spawned by the basic tenets of race to the top. So that shows you when the argument comes to you about this is not a federally led program, oh yes it is. Because you don't say, okay, you're going to win the money, but first we want you to do these things. And you do these things and then we'll give that money to you. Well, they won. They won the second largest cut of Race to the Top funds. They actually won $697 million. Well, New York State's education budget is over $50 billion a year. So that's less than 0.5% of our public education system. So you go ahead and you give me $1 and I'll give you $20 for that. That's what they did. And they hijacked our entire public education system. And all under this guise that it's broken and our teachers are failing us. Well, let me ask you something. If you're a teacher and you hail from a poverty-districted area, a district that's poverty-ridden, okay? Children come from broken homes. They don't have a lot of affluence. And that teacher is teaching children who, you're lucky if they've even eaten breakfast in the morning. Many times you don't know what just happened last night. These kids come, they sit down in their classrooms, and they're drilled, killed and drilled to these tests. A test that measures nothing against a child's education, what that child learned within that year in the classroom. Except for now, the Common Core State Standards is actually what they refer to as a mile deep and an inch wide. It's actually a narrowing of the curriculum. A narrowing of the curriculum. So the kids are learning ELA, and in the ELA, which is English Language Arts, they're getting social studies. They're getting what could be considered American history, if that. And all of this is what the kids are learning today. And they're learning it in ways that the teacher has no teacher autonomy whatsoever. Now, we spent over $20 million on modules in New York State. You can go to the website in New York State. It's called Engage New York. And K to 12 are modules. And in those modules are age-inappropriate, mistake-riddled lessons that are completely scripted. It would blow your mind. For example, first graders are learning about Mesopotamia and Hammurabi's Code. They have to pick it out on a map. They're not learning their essential civics, like where's the local fire department. None of this, they're not learning that anymore. In second grade, the modules, and the third grade modules, they're learning this book, they have to read this book called Nazarene Secret School. Nazarene Secret School, they're third graders. They are 8 years old. And the Nazarene Secret School is about a girl from the Middle East whose father has been abducted by Al-Qaeda in the middle of the night. We're talking eight-year-olds here. The mother leaves her house. Bombs are coming down. You can see it in the book. Bombs are being shelled down on this poor little girl's family's home. The mother leaves to go find her spouse and never returns. And as a result, Nazarene stops speaking. And her grandmother whisks her away to a secret school because a lot of these countries don't allow girls to be educated, like I was just telling you before. So she's sitting there with all of her classmates. She doesn't speak. She befriends one little girl next to her. And when the Taliban comes in, they want to catch them reading the Quran. They don't want, and learning their lessons in the Quran. The girls hide their books in another room. And the story ends. The girl never finds her mother and father. She does return speaking again. But this is so frightening to the children, an 8-year-old child, that they come home hysterically crying. They worry that their mom and their dad. This is not relatable to anything we can understand. And it should not be in the modules. The other book is called The Librarian of Basra. That's a 3rd grade module again. The same thing, completely scripted. Completely scripted. And it's about a librarian, and she's in, another, Muslim country, and she's in Basra, and, the Taliban's coming in, and Americans are coming in with their guns drawn, and bombs are hailing down, and she's got to get all the books out of the library, because they're going to bomb the library, because learning is no good. And she takes all the books and she brings them to her house. And when her house is full, she asks the restaurant owner, could you take the rest of the books and put them in the restaurant? And then the Taliban comes in and they have to lie and say they don't have the books. These are what our kids are learning. My child is in the 5th grade module, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. No Bill of Rights, no Constitution, ever. Then they read a book called Esperanza Rising. And then they have to, after the book of Esperanza Rising is over with, they have to go into the articles of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and find out what human rights violations happened to that family in Esperanza Rising. I kid you not. And so I went down one time, my son, in October, he left one of his books at school, and I'm not a helicopter mom by any, he's my youngest of 5. You left a book at school? It's staying at school. But this particular time, I believe that there was a reason why I had to go get that book, and I went with him, and I'm walking down the corridor, and big posters are hanging on the wall of the 30 articles handwritten by the children, by 11-year-olds. Of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Now, I don't know if you know this, but the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, we are given by the UDHR inalienable rights. Does anybody know the difference between inalienable rights and unalienable rights? Do you? Okay, well, I'll tell you. In the Declaration of Independence, we have unalienable rights given to us by our Creator. Nobody can take them away. Not in the UDHR. In the UDHR, you have inalienable rights. There's a difference. And the inalienable rights mean that you can actually barter them. They could be taken away from you for the greater good of the community, of the collective. They can actually render you as a problem for no good reason and take your rights away. That's Article 29. I suggest you go home and you check it out yourself. Anything I tell you here is verifiable. In fact, you can come on my website, West Islip Against the Common Core, because my files are this deep. And I have video, I have documents from either the state of New York or the federal government. And I'm just here to be, I'm telling on these people to you. I'm tattletaling. I met Lieutenant Colonel Alan West last night. Me and my husband, we had the pleasure of meeting him. And he told us that we are to be foot soldiers. And I look around here, and it's either my generation or a little bit higher, and we're it. The younger people are not. What did he say about they have the attention span of a gnat? That's what he said. And I agree, because their biggest concern is whether they've DVR'd Snooki or the Real Housewives of Idiotville. They should be ashamed of that, but that's what we're dealing with. We have to, every one of you has to take what I'm saying, and I'm not an eloquent speaker by any means, but I can tell you that if you go on the website, it's a Facebook page, West Islip Against the Common Core, I deliver everything I tell you. And that's going to educate you. And I never had a Facebook page before. Are you kidding me? But when I delved into this and I knew that that's where my community was, I became a Facebook person. And I certainly want to stop being a Facebook person and go back to my regularly scheduled life when this is over with. So we have a big job to do because we have been a groundswell. We have gone to Senator Flanagan's office hundreds of times. Me, myself, he runs away from me. When he sees me, I'm lifting up the documents, the letters that he wrote in support. They actually outright lied to me. His chief of staff told me he doesn't support race to the top of Common Core. I said, what are you talking about? I have the letter. She said, then get me proof. Show me. I went out to my car, came back in with the hard copy of the letter that he signed. Him and Dean Skello signed. Same with Kathy Nolan. Kathy Nolan does the same song and dance. You get in front of, the hearing. We had, I don't know how many hearings.